Hello and welcome to Not Just Books, the library's monthly show about what is happening in your world and at the Williamson County Public Library. I'm the director of the library and my name is Dolores Greenwald. Thank you for giving us part of your day today. We have some marvelous guests on the show and great save the date information you will not want to miss. In our What's Hot in Books segment, we'll be talking with Sara J. Henry. Sara is an award-winning fiction writer, and she is here to talk about her 2 books and a workshop that she is conducting at the library this month. In our Your World segment, we'll visit with Monty McInturff. He is president of the Friends of Franklin Parks. In our Save the Date portion of the program, we're happy to have Lynn Maddox, County Liaison with Vanderbilt's Community, Neighborhood, and Government Relations Department. Lynn will be talking about some terrific programs coming to the library in the near future. So sit back and enjoy the program. Did you know there have been some changes to the submission process for the Janice Keck Literary Awards? Check out our website at WCPOTN for all the details. Hello and welcome back. In our Your World segment, we discuss interesting events happening in Williamson County. Please join me today in welcoming a very special guest, Monty McInturff, President of Friends of Franklin Parks. Thanks for joining us today, Monty.
Dolores, it's awesome to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much for taking time to join us today. Monty, tell us about your facility proposal for Harlingsdale Farms and why you got involved in it.
Well, Friends of Franklin Parks is a nonprofit organization here in the community that tries to help enhance the parks. There's 17 parks here in the Franklin community, and the Harlingsdale project is kind of our first big project here in the community. I have to tell you, I grew up in this town, and as a kid, I worked at Harlingsdale. So seeing it as a functioning horse farm was a lot of fun for me, and now it's exciting that it's a park owned by the city where horses are going to get to come back.
That is excellent. Also, we need to have some disclosure here. Monty and I went through Leadership Franklin together, and I learned that the City of Franklin had 17 parks. I couldn't believe it. I had no idea there were that many.
Well, until I got involved, I didn't realize it either, Dolores, that there's so many open green spaces for our community to enjoy. And the interesting thing about them is they're only 50% built out, meaning that a lot of the parks need fencing, they need restrooms, they need facilities for us to have fun and play together. There's 3 kinds of parks in our community. There's passive parks, active parks, and historical parks. And I feel like Harlingsdale kind of encompasses all 3. So we learned that together in Leadership Franklin. We had a good time together.
We did. Now, also, why is this such a passion for you? I'm trying to get you to say you're a veterinarian.
Okay, well, very good. Well, thank you for cueing me there. Yes, I am a equine veterinarian. I've practiced in this community since 1991. I was born and raised in the Grassland community. I'm a Grassland Elementary School graduate. That's probably one of the greatest things that I can say about myself. I love Franklin. I love Williamson County. But I am an equine veterinarian. I have a hospital in Thompson Station called Tennessee Equine Hospital. I'm really love to say that it's one of the top equine hospitals in the Southeast, and we have 13 doctors on board. And it's just really awesome that this community has so many awesome horses and embraces that. So horses are my passion, Dolores. You got me on that.
Well, Monty, tell us about the fundraising for Harlingsdale. Where are we at in this process?
Well, that's a great question, because this program we're a nonprofit, and we're looking to the community to help us build this multi-purpose equestrian arena. When we started out, we just thought it was going to be an arena with a little bit of seating around it we could all enjoy. And what's happened, it's turned into a really big, beautiful facility that not only can have equine, but we can have concerts, we can have dog shows, we could have car shows, we could have lots of things in this outdoor facility. Well, The facility itself is $1.1 million. That's what it's going to cost. And we're not doing it with tax dollars. We're doing it with private dollars, and we're giving it to the city and to the community as a gift. So right now we're just over 800,000. We're around 820,000. We do have a little bit of a deficit. We've got a great program started. It's a program where we're selling pavers. You can get an engraved paver for $250 to recognize maybe a family member, maybe a pet, maybe a horse that you love, and we're going to build a sidewalk into the facility with these pavers, and it's going to be a special, special sidewalk. So if you'd like to get involved, I'd love for you to visit our website, Friends of Franklin Parks.
I was going to ask you about that. How can people find out more? And also, you have some contribution levels of donations too, don't you?
Correct, correct. So we have, we're called Friends of the Parks, and we have people that have given us $20 and with their friends. We've had some people give us $100,000 and their friends. We've asked anybody that wants to participate to bring the horse back to Harlansdale to be willing to give anything, $1 up to whatever. And I say that to say is everyone who contributes is considered a friend of the parks. And this Harlansdale project is our first step, and we want to help all the parks. We want to help Bicentennial Park. We want to help the talks about having a new Carter Park next to the Carter House.
Oh yeah.
We want to be engaged with it. When we first started, you'll love to hear this. Over at Pinkerton Park, someone came in and damaged the sidewalk into the Pinkerton Park and kind of tore it up. We donated the money to put the sidewalk back so that the city wouldn't have to use tax dollars to do that. So Friends of the Parks did that. We want to be active in all our parks. We have had, let me throw this out here real quick, we have had 3 corporate partners step up that I'm really excited about. Infinity of Cool Springs has stepped up as a corporate partner. They made a 5-year commitment of a lot of money to help us finish this project. Franklin Synergy Bank, which is a local community bank that does a lot for this community.
Yes,
They've stepped up and made a 5-year commitment to help us continue to fund this project. My business, Tennessee Equine Hospital, has stepped up. And also we heard last week that Coca-Cola Bottling is going to be helping us in the project.
Excellent.
So there's lots of vehicles for corporate sponsors to get involved, because it's going to be a community park for everyone.
It really is, and Monty, it's not just you that has a passion to bring the horses back to Harlingsdale, as you say. It's the passion of a lot of folks in Franklin and Williamson County.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and if you don't mind me, I'm kind of a history buff. Can I chime in there real quick?
Chime in real quick.
And I'll just tell you that the horse has been part of this community since it was founded in 1799. Andrew Jackson raced horses down Natchez Street in 1805. We have record of that. There was a racetrack along the river where they raced horses the first Saturday in May in 1824, 50 years before the Kentucky Derby.
Wow.
Harlansdale, known for the walking horse. It's the home of the walking horse in that breed. It's a wonderful horse. So it's just a taste of the history here, and we want to share it with all the people that come to Franklin that grow to love this community, that horses matter.
Yes, they do. And Monty, thank you so much for coming today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Dolores.
Very much. And we would like to have you back to talk a little bit more when you move further along on the project.
We want to invite you to the party we're going to have for the grand opening.
I am ready for the party. You know me, I'm always ready for a party.
Thank you, Dolores.
Thank you very much. We'll be right back. Did you know that the library now has a seed exchange? Well, attention Williamson County gardeners. The public library is kicking off its new seed exchange in March. Library members will be able to check out packets of seeds at the main library in Franklin. It's a fun way to try new seeds, and it's free. Just pick out your seeds, plant them, harvest them in the fall, and bring a few back to the library for the next growing season. Find out more details at wcpltn.org. Welcome back. In our What's Hot in Books segment, we're always talking about the interesting and ever-changing world of books. And I'm pleased to have with us today author Sara J. Henry. Sara has won numerous awards for her fiction books, including the Agatha Award for Best First Novel, which is Learning to Swim. And she's won the Mary Higgins Clark Award, and she will be conducting a novel writing workshop here at the Williamson County Library, sponsored by the Libraries Foundation, on Saturday, March the 21st at 2 o'clock. The title of the workshop, I think, is great. It's How to Write a Book That Grabs the Reader and Doesn't Let Go. And Sara, thanks for coming today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Your two books are Learning to Swim in a Cold and Lonely Place. Why don't you read just briefly the first paragraph of your book?
Well, we talked about grabbing the reader, not let go. And in some cases, what that means is, you know, a grabber first chapter. And in my case, and these are suspense novels, so it kind of, and these are set in the Adirondacks, where I used to live. If I'd blinked, I would have missed it, but I didn't, and I saw something fall from the rear deck of the opposite ferry. It could have been a bundle of trash. It could have been a child-sized doll. Either was more likely than what I thought I saw, a small, wide-eyed human face in one tiny, frozen moment as it plummeted toward the water.
I love that opening, and it really does grab your readers from the very beginning. And how important is that?
I would say these days it's more important than ever. People have possibly shorter attention spans. They call it the USA Today sort of syndrome, where you're used to reading things in short bites. With ebooks, people read quickly, so people are busy. So I think today it's more important than ever.
Where do you get your inspiration for writing? I've always wanted to ask a writer that.
It comes from everywhere. It comes from anything you read, something you see, something you think, something you see in a television show. This particular book, I love this area. I lived up there. It was my first full-time writing job. I was a sports editor on the newspaper there, Adirondack Daily Enterprise. And years later, I was visiting the area and driving along this Lake Champlain, which borders New York and Vermont. And there's a ferry there that takes an hour to get across, and there's two of them, so otherwise you'd be waiting a long time to catch that ferry over to Vermont. And I just imagined this scene where a woman is standing on the ferry and she sees something fall from the other ferry, and I just, boom, that was my first chapter. I was living in Franklin at the time, and a member of, I think we called it the Nashville Writers Group. We met in Brentwood, and that's when I wrote the original version of this book.
Well, Troy Chance is the main character in both of your two books. And how much of you is in Troy Chance's character?
And most authors are like, oh, no, but I don't try to hide it. It's me. I mean, I felt, I think, like a phony with much of my first novel, because I simply would imagine myself having adventures and write it a lot. It's the younger me. It's the me when I lived in that area, in that house, in that town, on that street, with those roommates. So, yeah.
Well, the roommates are very interesting characters as well, and I think they add a lot to your story.
I think so. And one thing I learned from being an author is how much everyone brings themselves to a book. I've heard it said that no one reads the same book. Even if they're reading your book, it's different because you bring yourself to it. But I love hearing who everybody's favorite characters are.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the workshop. It's on March 21st at 2 o'clock.
I'll be there.
You'll be there. Thank you very much. And what are some of the takeaways that the participants will receive?
Again, probably everyone will take away something different.
Exactly, but that's a good thing.
But I think one is the message of, I don't want to sound rah-rah Nike, but just do it. And one of the ways I got through my first novel was meeting with this group and meeting with a group and doing a chapter a week and just doing it, just having the courage to do it. Learning to revise, learning to find critique partners, realizing that I wrote this novel originally in 1999, and parts were great. First chapter was dead on. It was in a drawer for a very long time. I had to learn to edit. So in brief, editing, query letter, finding an agent, just whatever they want to touch on, and we'll touch on a lot of things.
Well, and what are some of the things that's really important. We've talked about editing before when we've discussed off camera. What are some of the things that you think are really crucial if someone is wanting to publish?
Get other people. One, I would say the best writing tip I have is read your work aloud. If you have an audience, that's great. Someone, if not, read it to yourself. You will find the places where your book lags. I find myself reading and editing as I go, and I go, oh, that shouldn't be there. That's my best tip. But find a writing group helps. Online, if nothing else. Find people to swap manuscripts with. Find whatever you get other people to read your work.
So, and that was what the Nashville group you mentioned earlier was.
Yeah.
And how long were you involved in that group?
Until as long as it stayed intact, and unfortunately that Brentwood Library they closed it and made a YMCA, and they were building a new one, and then we moved around so much waiting for that to be built, it sort of disbanded. A fragment of it has started up again, and while I'm here, I'm meeting with them weekly, so that's great. It's like dialing back the clock a very long time. Yeah.
So now, what made you interested in sports writing? You were saying you...
Well, to be very honest, that particular week when I was applying for jobs, my first reporting job, and at the time you got little ads out of the back of editor and publisher, and the same week I applied for church writer, farm writer, and sports writer, and sort of tailored my resume. So that's the job I got.
Well, eating is always good, you know. You need a job.
Right. So I applied for all three, and the sports editor was the job I got.
Because that scared me. I mean, I would be...
Oh, it was petrifying. I was a small town, and sports was very important. I didn't know anything about football.
Well, see, that's what I was about to say.
I had never been to a football game, never been to a basketball game. I knew running, bicycling, and that was pretty much it. I got myself a book on football. I got myself a book on sports. I asked a lot of questions, took a lot of pictures, spelled their name right, talked to a lot of coaches. Yeah. I realized I didn't have to know. I was covering so many sports. It was three colleges, 3 small towns, two colleges, plus an Olympic center. So I covered so much I didn't have to cover anything in depth. I covered sled dog races. I covered kayak races. I covered everything. It was great training. Absolutely phenomenal training as a writer.
Well, Sara, let me ask you this: when a writer is writing fiction, how much do you usually write about what you know, or is it something that you want to know more about?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I'm still tapping into stuff that I know, but I know other people do it the reverse way, and maybe by the time I'm on the 10th or 12th book, I'll be doing the same. I know Dick Francis used to, he would have a very similar character, but they would be an expert in something different in each book, vaguely related to horse racing, and he seemed to really immerse himself. I think his wife worked with him too in learning those. So I imagine it's different, but...
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Sara, for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for the workshop.
Oh, I'm going to love it.
And once again, it is March 21st at 2 o'clock. And Sara, if somebody wants to buy your books or find out more information from you, you'll have them available at the workshop.
I'll have some books available there, right.
And what is your website?
It's my name, sarajhenry.com, and it's Sara, S-A-R-A, no H.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be right back. Did you know the library has an awesome box? If you're returning something awesome that you've read, just put it in the box in the entrance of the foyer. The Awesome Box is a collaboration with the Harvard Library Innovation Lab. It allows the community to see what others have found helpful, entertaining, or even mind-blowing. You can find some of the selections on our website, wcpltn.org. Hello, welcome back. In our Save the Date segment, I'm pleased to introduce Lynn Maddox. Lynn is the county liaison with Vanderbilt University's Community, Neighborhood, and Government Relations Department, and she's here to talk about a brand new program they've started. Thanks for coming today, Lynn. We appreciate it. Tell us about the Vanderbilt OSHA program. It's a new program, just getting started.
It is, Dolores, and Vanderbilt is just thrilled to be part of the Williamson County community. And we are thrilled to be bringing some Vanderbilt professors to the Williamson County Public Library to talk about some of their favorite topics and some of their research.
Well, the topics are varied, which we'll talk about in a minute, but one of the topics is astronomy, and I wanted to talk about astronomy because of Tom. So let's talk a little bit about the impact that Tom Murdoch had in the community. And
Tom Murdoch was just a wonderful man, and he loved astronomy and spent many hours at Vanderbilt Dyer Observatory, and we all are going to miss him a lot. Last summer, he worked with the Williamson County Public Library and Dyer Observatory to bring a telescope night, which was hugely successful, and we were just thrilled to plan it again this year, and would like to have it in his memory this year, the Tom Murdoch Williamson County
There you go.
telescope
That's a great
night.
idea. That's a great idea. I love it. And you brought some astronomy books with you today. Tell us a little bit about this.
I will, thank you. Dr. David Weintraub has written 3 books. His most recent book is Religions and Extraterrestrial Life, How Will We Deal with It? Almost every week, astronomers announce another discovery of planets, and he's going to discuss the likelihood and potential implications to such a possibility.
Well, you know that if there's not life on other planets, that's a lot of wasted space.
It is a lot of wasted space. Thank you. He's also written a book called Is Pluto a Planet, which discusses the changing definition of planets. And he also wrote How Old is the Universe? And this book in particular talks about how scientists came up with how old is the universe, and they can talk about it factually and exactly what it is. So he will be an interesting program on March 20th.
Now, is this his books for the layman?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They are. He's a great teacher. Students love him. So he answers questions, and it's very easy to understand.
Well, good, good. I've always discovered that's a good way to judge a professor, is if the students like him and his classes are popular.
Exactly.
Well, your topics are ranging from all categories. I think that's great. There's one about Salem and other witch hunts. There's one about, which I have to admit, I'm a political geek. So the top 10 political speeches that you've never heard is also I think, an interesting topic.
Very intriguing.
The political geek in me. But there's one I'd like to talk about the history of fashion. And one of the professors at Vandy is doing that one.
Yes, Alexandra Sargent, is very involved with the history of fashion in our fine arts department and theater. She's also a beloved teacher and does a lot with history and fashion and costume design, and she's very passionate about it. It'll be very interesting.
And what's her range? Is it from the very beginning, or?
She's worked as a freelance costume and designer for film and theater companies, including the Woody Allen Production Company, the New York Shakespeare Festival, Middlebury Summer Theater Program. She came to Vanderbilt in 2001. She's the costume shop manager and designer for the Vanderbilt University Theater Department and teaches costume design, the history of fashion, the fundamentals of design. She teaches the history of fashion for the Vanderbilt Masters of Liberal Arts program, and she loves finding creative connections with adult learners.
Oh, well, as you can tell, fashion is also an interesting topic for me too. But Randall Douglas is doing an interesting program, Cuba in Transition. And what's his background?
Dr. Douglas has just returned from Cuba. And is very interested in talking about what's happening, and it's very much in transition right now. And he will be coming to bring a program in August, and will be very cutting edge information that he will be bringing with us for that.
We had one scheduled previously at the library, and we have to reschedule that one, and that was from Jane Landers was going to do one.
Yes, Jane is the expert at Vanderbilt on slavery and emancipation during the 18th and 19th century, and she was scheduled for February, which got snowed and iced and bad weather. So we do look forward to rescheduling Jane. She's the Gertrude Conway Vanderbilt Professor of History, and has just received lots of accolades and honors, and students love her also.
Well, that's excellent. I also noticed that your programs are for are parts of local Rotary meetings, Kiwanis meetings. Antarctica is an interesting topic.
Dan Morgan, yes. His research is Antarctica and loves talking about it. And as you said, in layman terms that people can understand and love to embrace.
And Tom Schwartz, the anniversary of the fall of Saigon.
The 40th anniversary, yes. Mayor Anderson is very interested in that topic, and we look forward to that program in April.
But, well, that's very good to know that Rotary and Kiwanis clubs can also benefit from this
Absolutely.
As well.
Absolutely. Vanderbilt wants to share our professors with the Williamson County public, and any ability or ways that we can help, we are anxious to.
Also, the case for paying college athletes. That's a hot topic from what I understand in sports these days. So that should be interesting.
John has written a wonderful paper about that topic, and it's getting a lot of attention, so that'll be very timely.
Now, which side is he on?
I don't know. I'll have to go to the lecture and find out.
Go to the lecture and find out, won't we? But, yeah, you know, there are pros and cons, you know, and you hear both sides, and it's an interesting debate these days. Also, we have to talk about the Dyer Observatory. With Rogers, we were going to do as part of our summer reading program this summer.
Yes, we look forward to doing that again.
And it's going to be changed somewhat. I think it's more of a tribute to Tom, yeah. So that'll be very good.
Special.
But these are very excellent programs, and it's very, very exciting to see Vanderbilt reach out to the community like this.
Well, good.
And I mean, education, who thought that education and entertainment could come together? But it does, and very good. And this is a good way for it to do that.
Well, especially April 13th, when we have 4 medical doctors who are going to come celebrate Poetry Month and do a poetry reading of their poems.
Poetry, doctors and poetry. You don't think about that usually, do you?
The poet MDs.
The poet MDs, that's right.
Yes.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Lynn, for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
it. And we enjoy it, and we're going to enjoy these programs. I just know that we will.
Good. Thank you.
It'll be very good. We'll be right back. I'd like to thank our special guests for being with us today. You know, exciting things are happening here in Williamson County, and the library is privileged to play a part. Thanks again to author Sara J. Henry, Lynn Maddox, County Liaison with Vanderbilt's University Community Neighborhood and Government Relations Department, Monty McInturff, President of Friends of Franklin Parks. If you have any comments or suggestions for future programs, please contact me. The email address is notjustbooks@williamson-tn.org. You can also leave comments at the library's website, WCPLTN. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. Our Facebook site is facebook.com/WCPLTN, and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/WCPLTN. And also, please remember to submit your work on the Janice Keck Literary Award Contest. Time is running out. Are you tired of paying charges for unlimited data on your smart device? Well, soon the library is going to be able to help. That's all I'm going to say for now, but watch us next month for a big announcement. And until next time, explore your world and read.